Oh my good heavens. You want to know what's really interesting? You know what's really interesting is in my other live streams, using the other program, the background level is different. It's different. Uh, I feel like the angle of the camera, the exact same camera that I use in StreamYard, is different. Maybe I just put it together wrong. I don't know. I don't know. But we're here. We're going to take a sip of coffee. Good morning. Happy Saturday. The Good morning, Amberly. Good to see you. I woke up, we slept in late. I got up at like 9:15 or something like that. It's 10 almost 10:30 now. And by the time I, moseyed my way out and did all the morning things and blah 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 blah, here we are. And my father-in-law left to go fly his planes for the day. And we don't have plans. We're going out to dinner tonight at 6 o'clock. My mother-in-law still upstairs sleeping. This is not uncharacteristic. My husband sitting down playing a video game that he just finished and has since restarted and is going to play it as a different character. And I was like, oh, he finished his video game. So maybe possibly like we'll watch some TV, do something. No, I left, I went to the bathroom, I came back, and he was in the middle of the same game, the same game, and had just started it over. So I was like, I literally have nothing to do. I have nothing to do. I do not have the energy to even try to convince myself to lift weights yet. Nothing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go sit and chat to my people. That's what I'm gonna do. So coffee chat. I am not even all the way through my first mug of coffee. I've only had a couple of sips, so you're getting me uncaffeinated first thing in the morning. And we got peppermint mocha in this cup. What is your current cup of coffee? Mine is Nut Pods peppermint mocha. If you are here for the replay, comment down below with what your cup of coffee is currently. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of thinking about my Nespresso machine the other day, and I was like, "Huh, I kind of miss my Nespresso machine just a little bit, just a little bit." But I'm very glad that I have my nut pods here. I also have a very heavy stash of peppermint mocha nut pods at home, so I am good for like peppermint mocha nut pods until August or something like that, depending on how much of it I actually use. But um, Amberly, I just thought about that game this morning or last night. It might have been this morning. Like the thought occurred to me because we were talking about, oh, it was last night. He was researching a different version of the same game, blah, 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 blah. Stuff you don't need to know about. And I was thinking about video games, and Hogwarts Legacy popped into my head. And I was like, oh, because we have every intention of purchasing that video game. That's going to be Brianna's open world. Because, like, my husband loves games like this. He played Zelda Breath of the Wild. He's currently playing Dragon Age. He loves, what else did he play? Skyrim. He loves games like that. And for whatever reason, I just can't get into them. I don't care enough. I'm not invested enough to sit and commit the time. You give me one that takes place in Hogwarts, and now we're talking. Right? So we have, when it was announced, what, like 2 years ago now, we have every intention of purchasing that game so I can play it. So that'll be, I'm sure my husband will play it too. But like that's gonna be what gets me into the open world game genre because I just haven't been willing to commit yet. I haven't been willing to commit yet, and I think that game will help me do it. If I don't like Hogwarts Legacy, open world games is not for me. That just is what it is. Although there was one game, oh no, it was kind of open world. For a hot minute, we played the Lego Marvel game, and we were actually really impressed with how open world that particular game was. So, but yes, video games. About to try to convince myself to go grocery shopping. Happy to help. Another Harry Potter thing. Guess what we did last night? We all were home, all four of us. Father-in-law got home, brought home some food for dinner because big story with the microwave and burnt pizza, and it's a whole thing. New microwave is coming because the smoke smell we cannot get out of the microwave because my mother-in-law incinerated. I told you guys about this on Wednesday. Incinerated the pizza. We're still dealing with the aftermath of the incinerated pizza. So we couldn't like heat up food, blah 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 blah. He brought home food. It was delicious. And we were like, we're all here. Eric's tired. Brianna's tired. Becky's tired. So we're like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to sit, we're going to watch something, right? dad comes home. And so now we go from like when it's just mom, we do but PS, does anybody else call your in-laws mom and dad to their faces? I don't, but when I reference them, when we're here, like, oh, dad said this, mom said this, it's just easier, right? Because when I'm talking to my husband or I'm talking to one of my in-laws, that's what they call one another, right? When their kids around, they say, oh, dad said this, dad said. So I just call them mom and dad now. It's a lot easier. But dad came home, and so when it's just mom, we watch Bones or Castle. We watch TV shows together. But when dad comes home, he's less invested in the TV shows. We want to do something a little bit bigger. And so because I have been so patient in watching all of these family movies and family photos and whatever, everyone was like, "What do you want to watch?" And we wanted to rewatch Hamilton. But so we're scrolling, we're like, well, it's 2.5 hours. We don't know if we have time for Hamilton, blah, 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 whatever. We started scrolling through things, and out of nowhere, I was like, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That is what we have to do. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Also a 2.5 hour movie. So, but Eric looked at me, he goes, I agree. My in-laws were did not, let Eric and his siblings read Harry Potter growing up, conservative Christian household, things like that. And I know some conservative Christian households are like, no Harry Potter. And then, so of course, I got Eric into Harry Potter, right? The heathen that I am. And, but so now Eric's all into it. I'm obviously into it. And we've like my father-in-law has like my in-laws have taken me to Harry Potter World years ago without having any concept of why I'm elated, why was filled with such joy and awe when I walked into Diagon Alley. They have no idea. So Eric is like, we gotta at least get them to watch the first movie so they can understand what they saw, right? So last night I made them watch the first movie. And alas, my mother-in-law was laughing. There's a lot of funny little moments in there. And my father-in-law actually, it was enjoyable. He wasn't like wowed by it or anything, but he definitely didn't hate it. He goes, okay. And then I was like, great, we only have 7 more movies to go. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get them through all of them. I would like to at some point get them through the entire story now that I've got them started. But it happened. Last night, we sat through Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I mourned Hagrid for the first time because I was like, when he came on screen, I was like, oh, Hagrid. Um, I had to put up with my mother-in-law continually asking if Snape is the bad guy. And I was like, I can't like because she likes spoilers. She likes to look up the answers. She likes to know what happens. She doesn't like anything surprising her. She thinks that things that are really not scary are very scary. That's just the kind of person she is. So I'm sitting there going like, I'm not going to tell you if Snape is a good guy or bad guy. Not going to tell you. So the whole movie, she goes around thinking Snape's the bad guy, right? Which is exactly what you're supposed to think. It's good acting on Alan Rickman that's the whole movie. She's like, well, obviously Snape is the bad guy. Hermione was hilarious. Eric's favorite, oh my gosh, having Eric laugh at Hermione's introduction. His favorite character introduction, I'm pretty sure ever in any movie ever, is the first meeting we get with Hermione. He was in stitches, and he's in stitches every single time. With her just walking into the thing and being all know-it-all-y and just the way this little 9-year-old girl acts it so flawlessly. Oh my gosh, he was in stitches with this introduction, even though he's seen it before, you know? So it was a good time. We watched Harry Potter last night, and even though it is a movie I have seen dozens of times, I take comfort. Is anyone else like this? I take comfort in watching the same things over and over again. I like the obviously he's the I like it. I like it. I love that we all bond over Harry Potter, y'all. I just it makes me so happy. I take so much comfort in watching the same things over and over and over again. There's a reason that Friends is my TV show on repeat when I have access to it. It's just like, and I've actually heard being seen posts on Enneagram related Instagram posts. That like it's actually a common thing for Enneagram 9 types to watch the same things because you know what's going to happen. It's comforting to you. It's not outside of your comfort zone. Nothing's going to surprise you, things like that. And Harry Potter is one of my like I'll watch it over and over and over and over again. No problem. Every time. I will enjoy it. Can't get to the point of calling them mom and dad. I love how there are times when I have to think for a moment to realize you're referencing your side of the family or his. Oh, yeah, and, I mean, that's how it should be. I grew up with my mom. My mom has had her father-in-law longer than she has had her father in her life. Her dad died when she was, like, 19 or 20. And my mom has been married for 40 something years. So and she met my dad when she was 14. So my dad's dad, my grandpa that you guys know, has been her father for more than her father has been her father. And so she's called her dad, she's called grandpa dad for years, years and years and years and years. I've never heard her call him Jack ever. It's dad. And and I used to say Sean, Becky, whatever. And again, I do to their face or when I'm calling them, unless I'm really struggling to get their attention. Because then if you scream mom, everybody who's a mom will look at you. But when it's just easier referencing them. Oh, dad said this, mom said this. Because I also feel like it's weird to and I'm severely overthinking it, which is totally fine. But like when I'm talking to my husband, is it weird to say Becky said this? It's his mother. It's mom. Also started just this year, maybe last year, but like when I do Christmas gifts and stuff, I would always write to Becky from Eric and Bree. And I was like, that's dumb. It's his mother to mom from, the only time I have to differentiate is if my family and his family is doing Christmas together, which we have done twice. And in that case, I will write Kathy and Becky because those are obviously two different people. But when we know it's only going to be one mother there, why would we not write mom on it? Unless it's from me specifically, then I would do your mom said. Yeah, and I've just gotten lazy. Because and sometimes I do that, but sometimes I'm just like it's just easier to uh, you know. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Um My family's like that, which is why I didn't read the books until I was 25. Yep, yep, obviously. It's also an anxiety thing. Yeah, 100%. It's just comforting. It's always so comforting. Um, it's like their constant background noise of the stove they fall asleep to. Yes, Friends has been that for me for ages, and my husband started watching it or started watching it officially. He's never officially sat down and started it start to finish like I have. He keeps coming in on me because that's my TV show that I would watch when he's still working and I'm done for the day. So he pops in, he knows the general premise of all of the Friends episodes, but he's never done start to finish, right? And after his surgery and while he was staying up late at night and not sleeping, Friends, he's like, let me start Friends from the beginning. And so he finally started doing that too. It's going to take him, 2.5, 3 years to get through it, but he's officially started it. And so when I come in and he's like, "Oh, let's watch Friends." I'm like, "Great. I've seen this episode 20 times. Doesn't matter. Still funny, still laugh." Um, that's definitely the way it was for me growing up without the three sets of grandparents. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. What's new, friends? I didn't come on here with any explicit thing to say. I was just like, I need to go hang out with people who are actually awake and conscious and not playing video games and want to chat with me. I will throw down with Christians who badmouth Harry Potter now. I honestly like I'm very open to seeing both sides of the story, both sides of opinions. I never understood why there were people that were like Harry Potter is the devil. Why? It's literally a story of redemption and good versus evil and I like it's a beautiful story. It's a great story. I see zero problems with it. Zero problems. Um and like I'm pretty rooted in the Christian beliefs and I don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe it's an Enneagram 9 thing. I don't know. Because I'm very good at seeing both sides of the story of almost any story. I'm very good at seeing both sides of almost any story. There are a few exceptions, but I just don't get it. And I never did. And my mom never, for a second, she never had a problem with us reading the books. Um, never, never. And my mom, good Christian woman, took me to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Outgrown the mommy and daddy thing. So that would help me in the long run when it comes to what to call the in-laws. Mommy, yeah. I mean, um, my sister-in-law still calls her dad daddy. Jump to the conclusion that magic is witchcraft and thus it is evil. We never read a book where someone sacrifices himself for the world and then comes back. I know, right? Right? We've never. This is a completely new plot line for us. Sacrifice yourself for the sake of good versus evil and then resurrect. We've never seen that before, ever. You're absolutely right. And I don't understand. I don't understand why fictionally this magic, yes, there's a curse that kills people, yes, but again, I don't actually see the problem with like morality in here we go, morality in Harry Potter. Happy Saturday, y'all. I don't understand why like the magic, like I sit there and I wish all the time, especially when I'm in Harry Potter mode, I sit there and I wish that I had magic powers, not so I can go and cast evil could, the 3 curses on people. No. You know what I wanna do? I wanna be able to Accio something that is out of my reach and Wingardium Leviosa it back into its position. That's why I want magic. Like, like, I'm like, "Oh, you know what would be really convenient is to have magic like Molly Weasley so the dishes do themselves." That's why I want magic. Like, that's not evil. That's the most practical use of magic I've ever heard of in my life. You know? And I mean, I know that in general, like my heart is good, my morals are good. So like maybe I'm the exception, not the rule. I don't know. But are you kidding me? It's not real. It's okay to pretend. Like I never understood it. I never understood it. To combat evil. How pride is it? Yes, 110%. Because it was popular, so the fact I was allowed to read it. Actually, except yeah, I know. There are so many, and the more you list, the more I'm like, there are so many good lessons in these books and movies. There's so many good lessons. There's not one that makes me go, that's sketch. Not a single one. Not a single one. Um, the people who are against it had zero idea what they were against. Yeah, and that's probably the case. They go, "Oh, wizards? Uh-uh." And they don't even give it a chance. They're not even willing to look into what it actually means. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. One of my favorite books is Matilda. My parents had no problem with those magic powers. Yeah, Matilda was just as magic as the wizards. She had only one power though. Um, Dumbledore has so many good oh, he's so funny. He's so good. We love Dumbledore. I love me some Dumbledore, and he has the best um I'm gonna botch up the quote, but just last night when we were sitting in front of the mirror, Avira said, and he's talking about, the people are often can get stuck in dreams so much that they forget to live or something like that. I was like, dang, Dumbledore, full of the good quotes, the good philosophies, the good remember this because this is true. Um, they're really good. They're really good. When I was around 7 and she felt I wasn't mature enough. I mean, that could be legitimate. Maybe there's an appropriate age to start Harry Potter. That's probably true. So maybe not 7, but like I was. What year did the book come out? How old was I? I'm pretty sure Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone book release date 1997. So I was 11. I literally am the same age as hey, Rosie, I'm literally the same age as the books. I'm the same age as the books, which is super, super fun. So when I got my hands on that first book, I was 11 years old going to my first year of Hogwarts. And I feel like that was perfect because I literally grew up. Every new book I had in my hand, Harry was the same age as me. And oh my goodness, and I think that made that so special because even through a 7-year journey, it was always about me. It was always something I could directly relate to because I happened to and no one else is gonna experience this unless their parents be like, "Okay, this is how we're gonna do it." Unless you go on, like, a strict, "You're gonna age up with the Harry Potter books" thing. I'm the only generation that went through that. Like, if you're plus or minus 2 years of my age, you're the person that experienced growing up with Harry Potter exactly the same. And and I said that to my father-in-law last night. I was like, "That was just the coolest." It was the coolest thing because it was always about you. It was always something you could relate to. They were going through puberty and that awkwardness when you were going through it. Like they were coming of age when you were coming of age. And it was the coolest experience. It was the coolest experience, and I was a generally pretty intelligent child. Actually, I was a brilliant child. So, like, I knew better that it was fictional, but, like, sometimes you need to get into a little bit of fiction to escape, right? Right? And it's just oh, man. Oh, man. Should be 10 to 11. I agree. I think kids should start Harry Potter when they are the same age as Harry Potter. Um That her kid was not allowed to read when he was 9, second at 10, something about reading the characters 2 years older. Written in our time for our time. It's so neat. Exactly. It's literally dated. It was released so Harry Potter's age, I think, is a little bit older than me. I think he's a little older. He was born in what, 82 age. Harry is 11. Yes, I know, but what is Harry Potter's birthday? I wanna say it's 82. 80. Yeah, 1980, and then he started school in 1991 then? 1992? No, he started school in 1992. 1992, is when he started school. So he's technically older than me. But the way that the books were released, he was still the same age as me when the books were released, even though he's a couple years older. Um, it's cool. It's very, very cool. And it's always my favorite thing. I love how whenever we have nothing to talk about, it's always Harry Potter. Always. Always. What else y'all want to talk about? Not that I don't love talking about Harry Potter. I'm almost out of coffee, y'all. It's a problem. It's a problem. Also, my light keeps doing really weird things. I'm very confused as to what's happening. Why am I so pink and then it goes blue? And I don't know the difference between the two. I don't whatever. Whatever. It's fine. Sir Nicholas Fifth 500th birthday party was in 1992. Hey, mom's here. Speaking of mom, what's up? Love me some Harry Potter. Yes. Did you have you been watching this whole time? Or did you miss that I introduced Sean and Becky to Harry Potter last night? Our movie of choice was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and it was so lovely. It was so lovely. So they finally know next time if we manage to get them to come with us to Universal Studios again, at least now they will understand, they will see the joy that was Diagon Alley. I want to get them to at least book 3 because movie 3 is when we see Hogsmeade for the first time, right? Because that's when they're allowed to go. But I want to make sure that they understand. So if we ever go again, now he can be like, oh wow, this is actually really cool. Because we actually paused the thing. Like when we went to Gringotts, I was like, so do you remember when we stood in line for this Gringotts ride? We were literally standing in line in the Wizarding Bank. And he's like, oh, right. I'm like, this is the bank. This is it. This is what we're doing. So finally got them introduced to that last night. And that's good. That's good. I feel like the new year is sort of starting now. Yeah, Rosie, I totally get that. I just did. If you're on my email list, which if you're not, you can go ahead and join it in the link below. But I sent an email out yesterday about the whole concept of January being your free trial month before your subscription to the new year starts. And I feel that so hard every year. We talked about this a little bit on Wednesday, but 100%. It takes a little bit of time. And like so for us, the reality is we've decided, fun fact, we were supposed to head home this weekend. We're still here because we decided that why not push it a couple more weeks if we can because, back home, it's real cold. Let's see. Let's check in on the weather in the good old Twin Cities area and see how it's going. Oh, it's 21 degrees. Oh, next weekend it's supposed to drop back down again. That's not fun. That's not fun. So we're pushing it just a couple more weeks. And we're heading home on the 10th. So like for me, it's not really gonna feel real and like feel like, okay, we're home, reset, let's set yourself up, let's go until the middle of February. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. You got to do what you got to do. You got to recover from the chaos of whatever it is that's happening. We definitely underplay the whole um like we we pretend that we just didn't have 2 months of chaos and all of the school parties and work parties and buy the gifts and spend all the money and wrap all the presents and do all the stressful things and do all the holiday things, and then all of a sudden January 1st rolls around, which is still a holiday, by the way, and then we're like, "Oh, hey, everything is going to go back to normal and I'm going to kick butt at my goals." That's not practical. I don't know why it's taking me so long to accept that. Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize Cultivate What Matters posted that as well. I'm glad it's the topic of the time. Glad to hear that. But yeah, it's true. It's true. So we're coasting along, resetting as we need to. I'm getting some sleep, and that means this year is like 9 months. Yep. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. You can make a lot of progress on your goals in 9 months. I mean, for me, it'll be middle of February, so it'll be 10 and a half months, which is still like you can make a lot of I want I want into the 12-week year. Yeah, it's yeah. It's well, when you think about it, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh, that's true." But what if we treated the month like let's say the year doesn't start until life comes back in the beginning of March. Let's say you blow off the first 2 months or you have to recover. Not even blow off, but like we start with intentional actions, but it's not like hit the ground running, go gung ho, all the weight training, all the calorie deficit, all the enter your goal and action items here, whatever it is. I will always and forever use weight loss as the option because A, it's one of the things I'm working on, and B, it's easy. It's an easy analogy. Um, so just because you're not doing all of the things doesn't mean you can't do some of the things. Getting enough sleep, drink enough water, start with protein. Good morning, Paulette. It is lovely to see you. Welcome. And it doesn't mean you can't take affirmative actions towards your goals without running the whole marathon right off the bat, right? Sprinting the whole marathon. So maybe you take a month or two to kind of, all right, let's ease into some of these new habits. Let's ease into some of these better choices and still recover from what we've just experienced, which I don't want to use the word traumatic. The holidays aren't necessarily traumatic. I know for some of them, some people they are, but not traumatic, but like it's just a lot. It's a lot always. My husband and I were talking just last night about I used the I checked in on our Ring cameras just because I haven't seen any alerts go off in a while, and I was like, "Are y'all still functioning? Is our house still standing?" And I checked in and I looked in on our living room and I looked at it for a second and I was like, "Huh, remember when we lived in Minnesota?" 'Cause and then I made a comment, I was like, "I feel like we don't even live there anymore." And my husband's like, "I know, it's weird. Like, we've been gone since the week of Thanksgiving, like, the weekend before Thanksgiving is when we left our house and haven't been back since." And, like, it's just weird because all of a sudden, it feels like we live here. And, like, temporarily, since 2020, we have lived here for an extended period of time every single year. And the first year we did it, it was literally 4 months. We were here for a long time. So this is basically our second home, which is lovely. We love it here. It's paradise in the backyard. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And it's fun, it's easy. It doesn't change I mean, it changes a lot, but also doesn't change anything, you know? And but it was just weird looking at our house last night and I was like, "Huh, we we have our own house. That's weird." Um so we, forgot that it forgot how it feels to be like, "Oh, this is our place with our Legos and our offices and our" it just made me chuckle when I saw it last night. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's 100% true, Amberly. January 1st is an arbitrary date, right? We have chosen January 1st because the calendar flips and that feels like a fresh start. I remember not too long ago, I actually wrote an email about fresh starts and how I have a handful. I am a fresh start girl. I love when the calendar aligns and it can feel like a fresh start. But I have a couple of times that always feel like a fresh start. One is the new year, of course. One is my birthday, because that's at each of us have our own individualized new year, right? Everyone has a new year that starts on their specific day. And it's not, for some, it's January 1st, but not for most of us, right? And then there's like the fresh start of springtime. Whenever spring flips, or like when spring starts to come. Now, this can be a very up for interpretation as to when that fresh start is, because in Minnesota, spring feels very, very different than it does in Tennessee. Spring happens at a very different time. But for me, when the snow starts to melt and things are starting to be in the 40s regularly, and it feels like we can finally shake off the frozen, that feels like a fresh start to me. That's spring cleaning. That's open the windows, get fresh air, and okay, we can really go. Because I personally am very much in hibernation mode and hunker down mode, and not, I don't have the desire to do much. I don't have the desire to go places, like none of that. And so for me, shaking off the cold is what really is like that's almost New Year for me. If I could start treating winter as this hibernation station, and like Rosie said something about 9 months, a 9 month long year, that actually would work really well for me. If I just from like November, December, and January pretended that like that was just like hibernation time, like I'm a bear, then, or maybe even December, January, February, that would be more convenient. The winter months. And it would just feel much more productive for me. I feel like, and I should do this, I should test this theory. And it's hard when you're a content creator, especially when you create like goal related content and everything, because like I review goal planners, and they start in January and they end in this and whatever. I'm like, there's no reason that I couldn't be like, okay, here's the stuff, and like launch the stuff under the normal times when it's conducive for the algorithm and whatever, but actually implement these things. Like, okay, my new year starts March 1st, and I go March to March, and I go March to December, and see what I can get done in those periods of time, because that's when I feel most alive. And it's a lot harder and it's easier to drag yourself down when you really don't feel like doing the things and you can't build momentum, you know? And I've never, ever in my life been able to build momentum in the winter months. Ever, ever. I thrive in the summertime. Always have. Because I can be out, I can be about, I feel lighter, I feel energized, the sun is out. I've never been able to thrive in the winter. Why do I think that I can do it every single year when I've never been able to historically do it? It makes no sense. Um, Something like pregnancy is like 9 to 10 months, so maybe that's something focusing extra hard on your goals and then having 2 or 3 months off. I the more we're talking about it, the more I'm really into the idea. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really into the idea, because you can make a lot of progress if you buckle down and do it. And I think it and look at again, let's use diet as the example. With the whole 4 phases of dieting, right? You're not supposed to be like, I'm gonna start here and I'm just gonna go in an extreme calorie deficit until I hit my goal weight. No, there's a cycle. You're supposed to take breaks, right? It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And so if we maxed out 16 weeks, that's 32 weeks. 32 divided by 4-ish is 8 months. You could do an entire fat loss phase in the 9-month period. You could do an entire fat loss phase in the 9-month period. Because then you got to take a break anyway. It makes perfect sense. Oh my gosh. Why haven't we thought of this before, people? We've been doing this, having these conversations for years now. Why have we not thought of this before? A real momentum and motivation comes from the little wins and the energy that comes with that. Exactly. And that's why I talked about the bare minimum on Wednesday. For me, that the bare minimum mindset helps me so much. And let me tell you, yesterday, so I got up, my mother-in-law and I had lunch plans with, oh my gosh, the 2 sisters and their mother, who are my mother-in-law's age-ish. The sweetest human beings I've ever met in my life. I met one of them at Eric's grandma's funeral back in 2020. and that was the last time I saw her, and I only spoke to her for about a minute and a half, but she was my husband's Sunday school teacher, but so she knew of me, and she knew him really well, so, like, and she was just the sweetest woman, and she left an impact on me. I'm always like, "You are the, like, I wow, what an amazing woman to be around." And so she left an impact on me. She's who we had lunch with yesterday, and her mother is just as sweet, and her sister is just as sweet. And so we had these plans and at noon. And I didn't have time to like get up and work out, and it was too hot to go walk outside, so my mother-in-law didn't come downstairs, couldn't use the treadmill, whatever. Went to lunch. Lunch lasted over 2 hours, and so we get home, and I have, like, by 3 PM, I have 3,000 steps, and I was exhausted. I don't know why. All of us were exhausted yesterday. I don't know what it is about yesterday, but everybody was tired, and I had the option of, like, well, I could sit and do nothing, which is really what I wanted to do, but I was like, "You know what? If I can just go and get some steps, I'll feel a lot better." So I bargained with myself and I walked for, I think it was 25 minutes on a lower pace than I normally do, just to get some movement in. Just to get some movement in. And yesterday I got a total of 8,393 steps. That's my bare minimum. And so did I get 10,000 steps? No. Did I work out yesterday? No. Did I even like stick to a hardcore diet plan yesterday? No. We ended up eating out when we weren't planning on it. And it's fine. But I got those 8,000 steps. And I was like, look, I didn't spend the whole day sedentary. I made an intentional choice to go and do something that was aligned with my goals. And I feel really good about it. I ordered a salad at lunch and I felt really good about it. And we ordered barbecue for dinner. Did I order the side dish of macaroni and cheese and cornbread and baked beans? You bet I did, because that's what you order when you get good Southern barbecue. 100%. My meat choice was boneless, skinless chicken breast, and I ate a whole chicken breast full of, it was probably 30 something grams of protein in there. Feel really good about those small choices, those little choices. So I woke up today and I was like, did I do everything yesterday? No. Did I make choices that were aligned with my goals amidst the choices that weren't? Sure did. And that feels really, really good. That feels really good. So, my theory is if I keep doing making these choices, making these balanced choices, sometimes some of the choices will be wins, some of the choices will not be wins. And that's okay. That's okay. Did I also have chocolate covered key lime pie on a stick yesterday? Because apparently that's a thing. And it was very, very good. Yes, I did. It was delicious. Did I track it? No, I have no freaking idea how to track it. It's one of those things that, like, they import from Key West, and like this restaurant we went to was one of the only places that you can get. I don't know. I don't know how the Floridian things work around here. But my bottom line is the little wins made me go, hey, I wasn't a complete failure yesterday. Let's wake up today and not be a complete failure today. Let me give you another example. This conversation that we are having right here. Do I have footage for a video to go up on Monday? Nope. Nope. Because I started to vlog and then the day kind of crumbled into things that were not at all aligned with the vlog that I was trying to film. So I was like, shoot. And then today, like, I kept trying to figure out how I could use the next couple of days to piece together the vlog that I wanted, and I can't. There's too much going on for me to be able to do that. And I was like, well, shoot. What the heck am I supposed to do? And I didn't off the top of my head have like a sit down and chat topic. Although, if y'all have a sit down and chat, when I used to do like those chat videos where I would just sit down and talk for 15 minutes about something without it being a back and forth between us. Um, do you have anything you want me to ramble on about for 15 minutes? Because I don't have specific sit down videos planned yet, you know? Um, and it's I consider getting my steps not a workout, Rosie. For me, working out is weightlifting or something that is very, very not just walking. My steps and my workouts are 2 different categories for me. I can get my steps and not have worked out that day. A 25-minute walk is a 25-minute walk. A 25-minute walk at 3 miles an hour where I'm huffing and puffing and blowing the house down, that would be more of a workout. But I took a leisurely stroll on the treadmill while watching YouTube yesterday. And so that was not a workout. That was just me. That was akin to me going out for a stroll outside, um, which in my brain is not the same. So, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so the making choices aligned with my goals. Do I have, long story short, do I have a video to go up on Monday? No, I don't. So this morning when I was sitting there and Eric's playing a video game and my mother-in-law's upstairs and dad's gone, I'm like, I could journal, I could screw around on the computer and watch other people's YouTube videos. And I was like, or I'm dressed, I don't have any makeup on, my hair doesn't look terrible. Maybe, possibly, I could go live and talk to people for a little while and thus create content, do something that is aligned with my goals. And so here I am. Because is it a total win of having structured content released the days that I wanted to release it? No. But is it doing nothing? No. It's somewhere in between. And for now, that has to be enough. It's a good example, I think. Let's see. Why can't we do February 1st till February 1st? Do it. If you think that's going to work for you, and I personally think something like that's going to work for me, do it. For us, for me, the feeling of the beginning of the year really depends on what we're doing. Since 2020, like back when we lived in Chicago, it was a lot easier for me because we did not have any of this. Let's stay in Florida for an extended period of time because we only had to travel half the holidays. When I lived in the same city as my family, we didn't have to travel half the time. And so it was very easy to be like, oh, Thanksgiving, got to get up and go to my parents' house. Super simple. It got complicated when we moved. And for somebody who doesn't like to travel and do all those things, it's made the new year, especially since we've started doing the extended stays in Florida. It's made the new year feel very elusive. Is that the right word? Because there are some years where when we spend Christmas here, we just kind of keep spending time here, right? Which is great. I love it here. It's wonderful. However, when I get home, mark my words, the first vlog you're going to see once we get home is my complete reset vlog. Like, okay, we're officially resetting, we're unpacking, we're cleaning, we're getting our home ready for 2023. And then after I do that reset, it's going to feel like, okay, now we can get down to business. That's what it's going to feel like. And whenever we get home is going to be when that is. On the years that we spend Christmas down here, that has been January, February, March, in 2020 into 2021. We didn't get home till April, which was lovely, but it was literally an entire quarter of the year that I spent down here. An entire quarter of the year. January, February, March, April. An entire third of the year that I spent down here. And so it just feels very different. Whereas last year we had to be in Illinois for Christmas. So we spent November and we spent Thanksgiving and December down here. And then by the end of December, we were up in Illinois. And by New Year's, Eric and I spent New Year's alone in our house. So January 1 actually was like January 1 in Minnesota. Okay, let's go. Very different. And so just accepting that like there's going to be that ebb and flow, at least now in the season of life that I'm in, that is what it is until we move to a different place. And maybe it feels different. Maybe we move back to Chicago and things start to equalize a little bit. Maybe we start flying again, starts to equalize a little bit. I don't know. Reading the comments. There's a part of me that wish it had an academic year power sheets. Yeah, an academic year would be good. I mean, and you can always get the power sheets and start them at different times. You can. You have control to do that. It won't be in the right order. If you were really ambitious, you could recoil it. I'm not that ambitious. But you could. If you wanted to start your year in March, you could just start in March. You could do that. And I'm shocked at the things I eat and don't count. Oh, Paulette, that's a really good point. That's why writing things down is so powerful, right? It keeps you accountable. This last year, we had a pretty large slump in the summer too. I know. So you got to like take like July off. You're right. 100%. And that's not a bad concept. Let's say, okay, in theory here, let's say latest worst case scenario takes me till March, right? If I go March, April, May, June, that's 4 months. Take July off. August, September, October, November. I actually love that. 4 months on, break, 4 months on. Amberly, you have a point, my friend. You have a point, and I like it. And now the gears are a turning. Ooh, what if we managed to accomplish a lot of things in smaller amounts of time and then actually took legitimate break? Ooh, I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. I like it. Thank you for the reminder. Customer, there was something in the air. That's so interesting. Was it a full moon yesterday? We were tired. Amberly's customers were crazy. I don't know, man. I think we forget that most people don't work on goals consistently. Maintenance, restorative, focus, mental health are all equally valuable. 100%. 100%. And one of the things I talked about quite a bit was this year was it's okay to set maintenance goals. That is absolutely acceptable. If you need your goal to be, I'm going to continue to do the protein, do the like not increase in any way, shape, or form, but you're happy with where you are, but you just need to make sure you stay there and you don't backslide, 100% legitimate. Focusing on the mental health. And that's it kind of brings it back to what Amberly was saying about me. Remember, you burnt out in the summer too. Take a break. That's something I have to keep in mind too. Because we know I am prone to burnout. So what can I do to make sure that that doesn't happen? And it usually means not doing more, but doing less, right? I did realize even though I hadn't set 2023 goals, the goals I set tend to set the theme. Yep. My goal is 1 hour of intentional activity. Really focusing on quarterly goals. I love the idea of quarterly goals. I really do. So add in a good reset in April. Yep. Is there a minimum goals and how they apply to the Moxie Life area? I do think part of the motivation is that every I do think that part of the motivation is that everyone is talking about it though. Yes, 100%. Um, how do they apply to the bare minimum goals and how do they, I got it. I got it with the typos. Bare minimum goals and how do they apply to the areas of life in Moxie Life? It depends. It's completely and entirely up to you. What does bare minimum? So one of the Moxie Life areas is physical environment, right? I mean, I think one of the it's cultivate what matters too. But like, what's the bare minimum for a physical environment goal, right? For me, my big goals for physical environment are things like doing an entire home declutter because we're not moving or anything this year. So like I can really lean into let's make this space that I have work for me. What changes can I make? Decluttering this, that, and the other thing. What's the bare minimum goal? Maybe it's make sure that all the dishes are put away before you go to bed at night. Maybe it's taking 10 minutes to tidy up. Maybe it's taking 2 hours a week to tidy up. It depends on what level it works for you. And there's a different level of cleanliness that works for you than what works for me, right? For me, I love waking up and having a clean living room and kitchen because our master walks right out into that area. So when I get up and if the first thing I see is clutter and the blankets strewn all over and disorganization and a pile of dishes that I have to work with, it stresses me out immediately. Whereas if I can take the 10 minutes to tidy up before I go to bed or before we settle in for the evening, it makes a difference because I feel better in the morning. So for me, that's a priority. That's like a bare minimum. But for other people, that might not matter. And if it doesn't matter to you, then that's fine. You have to figure out what matters to you and what bare minimum looks like to you because it's all different. Taking time off is great, but you have to realize going back into it has to happen on whatever date and not. Yep, 100%. I love circling dates on a calendar. I love being like, okay, this is, and one of the things I want to do, and I haven't gotten into it yet because again, we're still just kind of in this is what my life feels like right now. Just kind of like this blur, right? But if like when we get home, I'd be like, okay, start date, boom, vacation date, boom. I would like to be able to be like, I'm taking this week off of work. I am taking this weekend extended. I want to actually plan dates where I don't have commitments. And it's very exciting to think that way. This year, I'm doing 6-month goals, not annual. So you can do 4-month goals and reset them for each block. I like it. I do. If I had already planned the delayed start, and everything, it would be easier for me dealing with the gaps between planners. It yeah, and that's the you thing. The gaps between the planners. Once you start a February 1 new year, all the following goal planners will flow together. It's like getting started, that's the hardest part. You just gotta do it. You just gotta start. You just gotta do it. Be like, you know what? We're starting in February. It's fine. Um, and you can do that. You can do that. Or you can not do that. Or you can start your Cultivate What Matters Power Sheets in January, but know that but what do January goals look like? Maybe January goals look like maintenance goals. Maybe January goals look like bare minimum goals. Maybe January goals look like survival goals. And that's okay too. Everybody is different. Undated. Yeah, that's a good point. Lissa, you just need an undated planner where you can start whenever you want. It's a really good point. That's a really, really good point. And you can use them however you want. I'm using my undated Moxie Life. It might drive me crazy, but I'm going to try not to let it drive me crazy. But my undated Moxie Life, instead of using the tabs and flipping over when the month changes, I'm just going to keep the weeks going because they each have 5 weeks. So I can actually get more use out of the planner if I just keep the dates running instead of using the tabs to differentiate when the months are. So that's what I'm doing. So instead of being a 3-month planner, it might be a 3.5-month planner or something like that, you know? So anyway, all right, friends, I think I'm going to let you go because now at 11:15, I'm finally starting to get hungry. So it might be time for some breakfast. Thank you for coming and chatting with me on this Saturday morning. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely weekend. And I will talk to y'all on Wednesday for our normal live stream time. And until then, have a great weekend. I hope you do something fabulous for yourself, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.